Welcome to day 6 of the Olympics. There were loads of medals out for grabs today, and tomorrow is the start of the athletics side of the tournament. So between swimming and athletics, there'll be lots and lots to talk about and lots of medals coming out. Besides, for naturally all the other events that are happening. But since there's so much on, I've actually concentrated on certain events, and let's just go through them. So the first one is Rugby Sevens. Came to the end today, and it was the end of the men's tournament. The start of the women's tournament the women's tournament will actually start tomorrow. And I know it'll be just as exciting, if not more exciting, than the men's tournament. Fiji managed to defend the gold medal that they had won in the last Olympics against in a rematch of the 2016 Olympic finals, and they beat New Zealand. It was a fantastic match, but pretty much from the first kickoff, you knew that New Zealand, that Fiji were in it to win it, and they did it 27-12. I must admit, yesterday I was a little bit critical of both the teams because they both showed a little bit of weakness yesterday, but there was nothing today. Today, both teams looked fantastic, and Fiji, of course, raised the game in the final. The bronze medal went to the surprise package of the tournament, Argentina, who beat another top team, Great Britain. Now, Argentina absolutely deserved the bronze medal after what they did in this tournament, beating teams like Australia, South Africa, and now Great Britain. Just shows you that they really, really deserve their medal, and they really did exceptionally well here. So I'm really, really happy for them. The 3x3 basketball for both men and women also finished today, and the ROC were there to take gold in both tournaments, made both finals, and lost them. USA, they were beaten by the USA in the women's tournament and Latvia in the men's tournament. The men's tournament was very interesting, with ROC knocking out tournament favorites Serbia in the semis, and a team that I quite like, Netherlands, in the quarterfinals. Belgium, because Serbia qualified first in the round-robin phase, Belgium qualified second, and Belgium were knocked out by Latvia, who eventually went on to win the tournament. Serbia were dispatched by Belgium to win bronze, and they pretty much got revenge on their loss in the semi-finals. I mean, they smashed Belgium. It was 21-10. In the women's tournament, USA did not have it their own way, being pushed in the semi-finals and the finals, but eventually they won 18-15 in the finals, with China finishing third. And that was exactly the same order in the log. So as they finished in the round-robin phase, they finished in the final phase. USA women deserved to win it all the way through. They were only unbeaten. They had lost actually one game. The baseball finally started with host Japan beating the Dominican Republic in the first round. There's not much to talk about on the baseball side because it was the first game of the tournament so far. So let's see what happens tomorrow. The men's 5x5 basketball continued today, with the USA bouncing back from the first round surprise loss to France by bouncing back in style and beating Iran 120-66. However, I must admit that it still took the USA a little while to get going. The team seemed to battle to gel and find each other properly, and missed a lot of shots in pretty much the first 2 quarters of the tournament. And eventually, when they came right, they were unstoppable. So maybe this is the little spark they needed to get their groove going and get used to each other, and then now they could be unstoppable for the rest of the tournament. An exciting game was between Australia and Italy today, which Australia took by 3 points. Thanks to their 3-point bombers, I'd say. If you actually look at the stats, Italy were better than Australia in most of the stats, except when it came to the 3-pointers, and that's what won for Australia. The fourth quarter actually started off with Australia. I think it was the first 3 shots or 3 times they scored points. All 3 were 3-point bombers. Italy tried the same thing, but were not as successful as Australia. And all they did is give the ball away. I mean, they did slot a couple, but Australia were fantastic from the 3-pointers. Italy will have to work on their defense to actually stop Australia or other teams from scoring 3 points. France beat Czech Republic 97-77, and Germany beat Nigeria 99-92. The cycling men and women's time trials didn't disappoint today, but I think the results were pretty much expected. In the women's race, Annemiek van Vleuten won the race. She finished second in the road race, and I think you all remember that in the road race, she actually thought that she had won. She had forgotten that there was a breakaway early on, and they thought they had caught the breakaway. Meanwhile, one of the girls had still stayed out in the breakaway and ended up winning a gold medal, with Annemiek, who sprinted thinking that she had won gold, finishing second. Well, this time there was no discussion, no confusion this time. Annemiek comfortably won. And second was Marlene Reusen who got silver, and third was another Dutch rider, and Van der Breggen, who got bronze. Primo Roglic, he must be extremely happy with his goal today. The guy really struggled in the Tour de France. He hasn't been having everything going his way this year. And as you know, the Tour de France finished a couple of weeks ago, and luckily the decisions he made during the tour, to pull out early in the tour, helped him win the Olympic gold in the time trial. Second place went to Tom Dumoulin, and third place to Rohan Dennis from Australia. Men's diving was again a race for second place, with China winning gold so comfortably. I don't think they even had to do the last dive. They'd already won the tournament, with USA and Germany finishing second and third. Fencing, the men's Saber, well, Italy once again were out there to try and win gold, and they failed against a far superior South Korea. Since 1984, when Italy last won the Saber, the men's team Saber, they've been a team that normally finishes third. Besides, I think on 2 occasions since 84, they finished third. And today they managed to get into the final, and they came against South Korea, who were defending champions. They didn't win in 2016 because there was no actual event in 2016, but they won in 2012, where they beat Italy in the semis and Romania in the final. But so they are still the defending champions, even though they didn't have it at the last Olympics. But anyway, Korea were far superior to Italy and were deserved winners. Maybe Italy can go one further next time around. So now we're down to the business end of the football, and today was the last round of the qualification games in the men's side of the football. Yesterday we discussed the women's side, and today we'll discuss the men's side. So Mexico beat South Africa 3-0. Japan beat France 4-0. Japan had already qualified for the quarterfinals, and Mexico joined them in the quarterfinals, thanks to Japan beating France. South Africa were the whipping boys in this group. The only game they came close to winning was their game against France. South Korea smashed Honduras 6-0 and topped their group, and New Zealand and Romania drew in their game, and New Zealand got through on that one there. So Spain drew 1-1 to knock out Argentina, and Egypt beat Australia to qualify ahead of Argentina on goal difference. So Spain took first place, Egypt second, and Argentina third. I think Argentina will be very very disappointed with that kind of result. It's not what they're used to. Spain, instead, with the star-studded team and players like Pedri in the side, expected a lot more from this tournament. This makes me wonder if a player like Pedri might be a little bit tired. Brazil beats Saudi Arabia 3-1. They struggled a bit in the first half, but eventually, found goals in the second, and they did exceptionally well. And they topped their group. Ivory Coast drew 1-1 with Germany to knock Germany out, and for Ivory Coast to finish second in their group. So the playoffs are Japan vs New Zealand, Spain vs Ivory Coast, South Korea against Mexico, and Brazil against Egypt. I think they're all going to be great games. I think Japan might have a little bit too much for New Zealand. Spain's Ivory Coast is open for any one of those two teams can take it. Ivory Coast are actually playing exceptional football. South Korea, Mexico also. Mexico has shown that they can be unstoppable, but they've also shown in other games that they can be stoppable. And Brazil, Egypt, I'd say Brazil should easily take that one, but I've got a little soft spot for teams from Africa, so Egypt, I'd say not all out of it. There were 5 medals today in swimming, with Adrian Titmus from Australia proving to be the queen of the pool this year. The 20-year-old took gold, this time in the 200-meter freestyle. She's still got the 800-meter freestyle left to get her third gold. World record holder in this event was Pellegrini, and she finished 7th. Pellegrini is 32 years old now. She's dominated this event for many years, and now she'll be seeing the handing over the baton. Hoi from Hong Kong finished 2nd, and Oleksiak from Canada finished 3rd. Men's 200-meter was won by world record holder Milak, who broke Phelps's Olympic record in winning the actual butterfly, the 200-meter butterfly. Honda finished 2nd for the hosts, and Burdisso finished 3rd for Italy. The women's 200-meter individual relay was won by local favorite Ohashi, It was closely followed by Walsh, a little bit from the United States, and a little bit off was Douglas, who finished third from the US. So Ledecky from the US took the 1,500 meter freestyle, bounced back well after losing her 400 meter freestyle title. She won comfortably, beating Sullivan from the US and Kuller from Germany. She also raced earlier on in the 200 meter freestyle, finishing fifth, but the distance is a little short for her. She'll be racing against Titmus again in the 800 meter freestyle, and this will be great to see a win between her endurance and Titmus's speed. Saying that, when she lost against Titmus, it was actually her endurance that didn't hold out. Titmus came back at the end to pip her. So let's see what happens in the 800 meters. I think it should be a nice fight between the two of them. The 4x200 meter freestyle relay was run by Team GB, beating Russia and Australia. USA finished third. The last time that USA did not win gold was in 2000 when they lost to Australia. And if you look at the history of the event, out of 26 times that this event's been hosted, USA has won it 17 times. So they pretty much own this event. So to beat them is a huge thing. And actually, they weren't even only beaten by Team GB, they were beaten by Russia and Australia. So not a great day out for Team USA in an event they normally dominate. And then finally, on the swimming side, today's South African Tatiana Schumacher once again broke an Olympic record in the first round of a race. This time she did it in the 200 meter breaststroke, and her times were 3 seconds faster than anybody else. However, everybody else was also trying to just qualify. So you can't actually say she's 3 seconds faster than everyone, even though her times were like that, because other people qualified 3 seconds off that time, but had no pressure on them. Let's see if she can carry on getting better and better throughout this. The last time she broke the record in an earlier race in the 100 meter, she actually blew it in the final. So it came second. It's tough to say when somebody gets a silver medal they blew it, but she actually is good enough to actually win the 100 and 200. So let's see how she bounces, how she continues with this, and hopefully she'll break the record again and win gold for South Africa. And South Africa need a gold quite desperately now. If you're looking at the medals are at the moment still dominated by Japan, China, and USA. So Japan's leading with 13 golds, 4 silvers, and 5 bronzes. China's got 12 golds, 6 silvers, and 3 bronzes, and the United States have got 11 golds, 11 silvers, and 9 bronzes. There's some nice gains by Australia today. Great Britain got another medal, and a couple of other teams. Canada got a couple of medals to Hungary. So some teams are getting onto the medal list now and actually starting to climb the ranks of medalists. We have now got 62 nations that have got at least a bronze medal. So looking good, nice sharing of the medals, and let's see what happens from tomorrow onwards. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, as you see all in my background, we've just got on my Instagram post. If you are interested in follow us on Intune _coaching, and you'll find out more results and interesting sayings and quotes and interesting stories and interesting interviews with all our different coaches that are actually talking about coaching and sport in general. It's not just for coaches, it's also for people who love sport and are interested in sport, and athletes will also learn from it. So stay tuned and come and follow us.